China calls the United States, quote, the biggest disruptor of regional peace and stability in the world. This in response to the Pentagon's recent report on Beijing's military buildup. The Pentagon report expands on a warning issued last year that China is rapidly enlarging its nuclear force. China's Ministry of Defense called the findings false and rebuked the U.S. military assistance to Ukraine and Israel, as well as its military buildup of installations worldwide. And joining us now is Chang, author of The Coming Collapse of China and the Great U.S.-China Tech War. Gordon, great to see you again, as always. Some strong words there from China. What do you make of all of this, and are you surprised by their response?
I'm not surprised by the response, Tracy. There was a certain amount of boilerplate in it. This time they said the report was exaggerated and that we were hyping up the threat. China always does that. You know, it's good that the Pentagon report this year was more candid than usual. And I really think that we have a military right now that understands that China is a threat, but we are not preparing with the requisite sense of urgency. So I hope that this report moves the generals and admirals in the right direction.
Yeah, Gordon, I want to talk about the war between Israel and Hamas right now. I mean, China never condemned the deadly attacks on October 7th, unlike the U.S. and the European Union, and nor did Beijing call it a terrorist attack by Hamas. Instead, China expressed sadness about acts that harm civilians. And China also urged Israel to protect the safety of Palestinian civilians and to aid by international humanitarian law. Gordon, help us unpack this.
Well, first of all, China tries to play both sides of that divide between Israel and the Palestinians. But when pushed to shove, it supports the Palestinians because it has the relationship with Iran. And Iran, of course, supports Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. I think that what China is trying to do here is create another proxy war. You know, the first proxy war is Russia and Ukraine. What they're doing here is trying to bleed the United States. And we got to remember that Xi Jinping reveres Mao Zedong. Mao thought that creating chaos would eventually lead to worldwide Chinese rule. So that's what Xi Jinping is doing here.
Yeah, in the meantime, China recently deployed 6 warships around the region in light of the escalating tensions. What do you think this signals?
Well, they did this in Syria in 2013. And what they were signaling was to the United States and NATO, where we had deployed warships in the Eastern Mediterranean, that we would have to be very careful of our response because China was willing to intervene. And I think they're basically doing the same thing right now. So this is a replay of what we've seen before. And we've got to understand that they really can't project force there and that we have to protect Israel. We've got to evacuate citizens if that's necessary. And also, we got to strike back at our enemies because right now there's been about 15 attacks on American forces in Iraq and Syria over the last, say, week and a half. So right now, this is going to continue unless we impose some measures on those attacking us.
Yeah, and Gordon, with this conflict in the Middle East heating up, I mean, some speculate that China may take advantage of this chaotic situation and use it as an opportunity to invade Taiwan. Your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think that's a possibility?
It's a possibility, Tracy, but what we've seen on Sunday was China rammed 2 Philippine vessels at Second Thomas Shoal in the South China Sea. This was despite warnings from our State Department that we were prepared to use force to discharge our obligations to the Philippines under our defense treaty. And we haven't been deterring China. So China's just continuing to escalate. My sense is, and this is just a guess, that a lot of Chinese generals and admirals think that Taiwan's too hard a target. So they're picking on a better target from their perspective, which is the weak Philippines.
Gordon, we have probably about a minute left or so, but on a different note, I wanted to talk about this. California Governor Gavin Newsom is in China, and he met with President Xi Jinping today. What more do you know about this meeting, and why is Newsom there?
I think that what Gavin Newsom is doing is he's running for president of the United States, even though he says he's not. Because he cannot affect China policy in any meaningful way. I think what he's just trying to do is show that he's got the chops to do this. This is his second visit to a head of state recently. And I think that that is very much in line with the sort of the campaign ads that we're going to be seeing in the not too distant future.
Yeah, we'll see how that all shakes out. Gordon, great to be with you. Thank you so much for your insights as always.
Thank you, Tracy.